I am watching television, but I'm not the only person in Britain who will be doing the same. Far from it. On average, a British middle-class person will watch around 17 hours of television every day. But television hasn't always been like this. Television, in its earliest form, was invented in 1627 by a man known as Terence Vision. Terry was an avid fan of a local travelling freak show, which he would visit frequently. The trouble for Terry was, the show only visited his area 3 or 4 times a year. This was a problem for Terry. He wanted his entertainment to hand whenever he pleased. Terry set out to change things. He constructed a box and placed it in the centre of his living room. Inside the box, he kept Mungo, a mentally handicapped boy who he would sit and watch for hours at a time. Terry found that his invention drew a lot of attention, so proceeded to sell his freak boxes to others in the area. Terry made thousands, but it didn't take long for the backlash to begin. Terry's customers became frustrated. Not only did they grow bored of the same person in their box, but they also didn't appreciate the hassle of having to feed the show inside, so many box owners neglected their responsibilities. This is why 200,000 mentally handicapped people lost their lives in 1629, and the boxes only became available to the wealthy. King Charles II was probably the most famous owner of a box during the 17th century, but what King Charles did revolutionised the industry forever. He kept numerous handicapped people to hand, so if he became bored of watching one of them, he could simply swap it with another. This was the birth of television, but it wasn't until 1890, when electricity was invented, till televisions became available to the masses. Crowds would gather in their millions, purely to get a grainy, silent look at a man with one arm. And that is how television remained, until 1939, when World War II began. The front line of British troops who fought in the war were made up of the stars of the current television shows. Shows such as Mong Brigade, Spackman, and Div had casts of over 200, so regiment numbers were great. Why the British Army used disabled people in the first place has been debated. Some say it was to minimise fatalities among able-bodied troops. Others say it was to make the Germans starstruck at seeing famous people on the battlefield. It was only realised in 1956, 11 years after the war had ended, that the first television hadn't come to Germany until 1948. With 97% of the major television actors dead or dying, executives were forced to come up with an alternative. And the solution was simple. Surveys had proven that ranked alongside disabled people as the #1 thing people wanted to see on TV was voluptuous women. So, TV executives created the first ever television network, the Big Boob channel, in which families could happily watch chesty women for 3 hours a day between 5 and 8 in the evening. And of course, with the development of technology, by 1961, 1 in every 10 people had access to a television in their own homes. With the success of the BBC, a new company was created in 1973, International Tittyvision. It was the first television network to break up the programmes with commercial breaks, which also revolved around breasts. And then, in 1982, on a cold day in March, history was made. Televisions officially outnumbered humans. This meant that there were 2 televisions in every room of an average home. This was so eager viewers could watch both the BBC and ITV at the same time. And then, controversy. A third channel would be introduced, though this time it would go back to television's roots and show disabled-centred entertainment shows, some of which still exist today. A good example of this would be Big Brother, only Big Brother has a twist. The contestants don't realise they're disabled. As television numbers soared, along with demand for better quality programming from its viewers, it was clear that something drastic had to be done. Introducing Sky Television in 2008, which gave viewers thousands of channels to browse, which is what we still use today. And who knows what will be on the television of tomorrow. It isn't thought that interest will lessen in naked girls and disabled people, but some TV experts think in 2019 Britain's first show about tomatoes will air. And I, for one, will definitely be watching.